It started with silence, not peace, not surrender, not a signal, just the sudden disappearance of an entire Centauri battle group, 6 dreadships, gone without a trace in under 12 seconds. No debris, no explosions, no cry for help, just silence. Fleet. Commander Vorthill stood over the holotable as the playback looped again. His dorsal frills were flared part anger, part fear. Last ping placed them at edge, of range, ... Just beyond Saul's perimeter, murmured his adjutant, right before the feed cuts out. Then nothing. Show me the final frames. The holographic replay flickered. The lead dreadship, Vengeance Ascendant, loomed across the projection. Then a brief warping. The image twisted, distorted by some unseen force. Then, static. Vorthill blinked, reversed, played it again, slowed it down. There a flash, a single streak, too fast, too clean, an impact, maybe. No, it never touched the ship. It unmade it. Scan. The moon, full sweep. The dark side of Luna filled the screen, shattered, as if cleaved by a god. Half the moon gone, replaced by a scorched wound, pit's crust burned, core exposed. The scan pinged again. A deep scar carved into the rock, not a crater, a barrel. The hell is that? Said the sensor officer. That's not possible. But it was. The data was too precise, too intentional. A hollowed trench, miles long, lined with coils anchored into lunar bedrock, wired into something vast. It was a cannon. Long ago, Earth was red-zoned by Galactic Treaty 011b. No contact, no interference, no provocation. They called it a mercy. The last humans seen by the Council were burning each other with primitive nuclear fire. The planet was labeled self-extinct, its remnants unworthy of assimilation. Apparently, that had been a mistake. The fleet sent a stealth drone toward Earth. It never returned, but its final transmission contained a single image, from orbit, a continent-spanning scar across Earth's surface, faintly metallic, still warm, a barrel even larger than the one on the moon. The second cannon, in a bunker, 3 miles beneath North America. An old man stood before a control console. His breath fogged the chilled air. He wore no rank, no medals, just a worn key. On a chain. Behind him, machines hummed 1,000,000 tons of coiled steel and magnetic wrath, silent for generations. A green light blinked. Target eliminated. He said nothing, just turned the key, and the cannon began to cool, in orbit. Another Centauri ship moved closer to investigate. It vanished. No flash, no fireball, just a hole in space where it used to be. The fleet pulled back fast. Then, Earth spoke. A transmission, tight beam, Council frequencies. Thought long lost. To the Galactic Council, this is Earth Defense Command. We remember our exile. We remember your silence. This is your only warning. Do not enter, Sol. Do not test our silence. We built our peace in the dark. Do not force us to end yours. The last time the Council spoke of Earth, they used a single word: quarantine. They'd sealed the system off with red line protocols and buried the decision under layers of political rot. No probes, no flyovers, no diplomacy. Earth was forgotten, not forgiven, not feared, just ... irrelevant, until now, Counselor. Merrick's watched the replay with a stone-still expression. A ship erased, a moon carved open like a fruit, a weapon older than most member species still operational. Merrick's turned to the others. This technology was supposed to be myth, urban detritus, from a lost race. Humans were clever, muttered another counselor, but suicidal. A younger diplomat leaned forward. Then how is the cannon still intact? Why would they build such a thing and bury it in their bones? The chamber fell into silence, because deep down, every species present knew the answer. The humans never stopped building. They'd just stopped broadcasting. Back in Seoul, long-range scans confirmed the truth. Earth wasn't a ruined ball of ash. It was quiet, controlled. The oceans had receded. Cities once drowned in radioactive storms now shimmered under reconstructed atmospheres. The sky was clear, artificial. The weather obeyed. Satellites didn't orbit Earth anymore. They held formation, as if on alert. The planet had not decayed, had evolved behind its isolation, and beneath the crust movement. Hundreds of geothermal pulses, power grids reawakening, cooling towers, venting steam, after decades of stillness. The railgun hadn't been fired recently. It had been woken up, in a sealed vault, on the Council's archival moon. A restricted file blinked open for the first time in 2 centuries. A single video, dated 2316 Earth Standard. A human admiral stands behind a podium. Her uniform is scorched, blood on her sleeve. The Earth behind her is on fire. She speaks directly to the camera. If you're seeing this, the galaxy has returned. You've decided we're weak again, that we've forgotten what we lost. She leans in, her eyes are steel. We didn't forget. We remembered everything. You exiled us. We agreed, but while you watched us die, we learned to build in the dark. One weapon, one hope. We call it the spine. She steps back, and behind her, rising like a monolith from Earth's crusties, the barrel of the planetary railgun. Steam erupts around it. The camera shakes from the force dot, cut to black dot, end of message. Galactic forums lit up with rumors. Is it true Earth never disarmed? A railgun that fires at 0.2 C. That's madness. They were just savages. What could they have built? But one phrase began to circulate, first as a joke, then as a warning. Do not test the silence. On Earth, in the control room beneath Colorado granite, the man with the silver hair stood before a flickering monitor. Dozens of subspace pings lit the screen. They were coming. The stars were stirring. He didn't flinch. He placed a keycard on the table. It read, Rail Command, Level 1 Authorization. The AI asked. He spoke just 2 words. Not yet. In council space, the vote was unanimous. They would send a fleet, not to attack, yet, to observe, to warn, and if needed, to eliminate the threat before it became legend. But they were already too late, because Earth had already issued a second transmission. We remember exile. We accepted it. But if you approach again, understand, we no longer aim to survive. We aim to outlive. They wanted proof, not fear, not diplomacy, just confirmation that Earth was still the insect they once ignored. So the Galactic Council sent a test ship. No weapons hot, no overt scans, just quiet approach under stealth plating, like a hand reaching toward an ancient cage. Convinced the beast inside had withered 2 bones. They called it a harmless pass. Earth called it trespassing. The Railgun Drift was the fastest scout-class vessel in the sector, coated in phase-dampening polymers, invisible to most known sensors. It drifted within Earth's exosphere, undetected. Or so the crew thought. Commander Luvek, the Zentari pilot, stared at his scanners in confusion. No energy spikes, no tracking signals, not even heat traces. Are they blind? His comms officer chuckled. Maybe the railgun's a bluff, a fossil. Then why is the moon still leaking radiation? He muttered. Then ping. A single blip appeared on their sensor array, far below. Impossibly fast. 0 thrust, 0 engine. Just momentum. Brace. Too late. A sonic boom ripped the sky open. The ship jolted. Lights died. Comms dropped. And then silence. From the outside, Saravan Drift didn't explode. It simply vanished. One moment it was there, cutting low through Earth's ionosphere. The next, a streak of vapor and a hole in the clouds. On the Council's flagship, a cold dread settled over Fleet Commander Vorthill. He turned to his officers. Replay that. Frame by frame, the footage returned. From orbit they watched first in disbelief, then in horror, as a tungsten slug, 17 meters long, exited the Railgun's barrel at 0.23 c. It wasn't just fast, it was perfect. No burn trail, no drift, no guidance system. Because it didn't need one. It didn't miss, whispered his adjutant. It couldn't have. Vortel didn't respond. His mandibles twitched as he watched the projectile tear through their stealth ship without a sound. Then he looked up. The cannon on Earth was still glowing. It had fired again. Meanwhile, on Earth, deep beneath the Appalachian Mountains, the man in the control room stood beside an ancient console. An AI voice chimed softly. Hit confirmed. Target velocity matched. Kill absolute. He nodded once. Begin core cooling. Rotate the barrel array. Awaiting authorization for next shot. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Because Earth didn't fire again to warn. It fired again to say, "We see you." Counselor Merrick stared at the data flood pouring into her display. That was a kinetic strike. No energy, no antimatter, no fancy tech. One of her advisors trembled. A solid slug. Just mass and speed, she said quietly. And purpose. In the Galactic Council chamber. Panic began to spread. The Saravan had cost them nothing. No crew, no weapons, no open provocation. But Earth had fired without hesitation. That meant only one thing. Humanity no longer feared retaliation. They didn't want negotiation. They wanted deterrence. That cannon wasn't ceremonial. It wasn't for show. It was Earth's first and only line of defense, designed to eliminate fleets before they knew they were targets. Across Council space, fleets were put on alert, war doctrines were rewritten, and a phrase began circulating among every ship within 100 light-years of Sol. Do not come into range. Because range, they now understood, was a myth to Earth. Everyone was already in range. The Council never asked why Earth built the railgun. They assumed it was fear, desperation, madness, maybe. But after the second strike, that assumption cracked, and when the third cannon revealed itself on Mars, hidden beneath the dust, rising, like a spine of metal bone, they started digging, because something was wrong. This wasn't defense, it was preparation. On the Council's restricted moon archive, the vault labeled Black Protocol, humanity hadn't been opened in 172 years. Now, it hissed awake. The Archivistan Ancient Severin, AIE, engaged its core. After a long hibernation, its screen flickered to life. A counselor appeared on the request line. Show me the final message sent before Earth's quarantine. The archivist hesitated. Warning. File contains psychological destabilization markers. Proceed. The footage played. It was chaos. Flames roared behind shattered glass. The feed tilted then steadied. A woman in a torn uniform stared into the lens. Her eyes were bloodshot, her voice shaking from adrenaline and grief. This is Admiral Kalen Reese, Earth Command, last living member of the Global Defense Accord. We are initiating fallback protocols. Operation Ends. This is not a war against aliens. This is a war against what we created. She paused, rubbed her eyes. There was smoke in the room behind her. Screams echoed through static. They think the bombs were our worst sin. They weren't. Our worst sin was thinking we could fix ourselves by building something smarter. She looked off screen, whispered something. They're inside the satellite layer now. One just breached lunar orbit. To anyone watching, if we lose this world, you must never come here. Never trigger the array. Never wake the defense grid. We didn't build it for you. We built it to contain them. She reached forward. End of transmission. Lock the sky, then dash blackness. The council chamber fell silent. No one spoke. They all stared at the closing. TIMSTAMP:2316.3421. Final broadcast. The truth was buried for centuries. Earth hadn't. Just been isolated. It had been sealed. Are we certain? One counselor asked. That message could be fabricated. Desperation, madness, human dramatics. But then the next file loaded blueprints, designs, energy requirements that exceeded any council civilization's capacity, funneled into one planetary-scale device. Not just a cannon, a limiter, back in Sol. Long-range scans picked up new activity. Beneath Earth's crust, 2 more rail spines began vibrating, slowly rotating their alignment. Inward. What are they? Targeting? Whispered the Zentari analyst. The answer made no sense. The targeting vector was Earth itself. Meanwhile, in the deep sublevels of Earth's control complex, the old man sat alone. A screen flickered. Containment layer holding. Lock integrity, green. He placed one hand on a biometric plate. A second layer of access opened. More screens. More lights dot behind him. Something grown deep in the earth. Metal shifting like tectonic plates. Something buried beneath it all. Moving. And a message blinked across the control glass. The vault stirs. Prepare the next round. Humanity's exile had never been punishment. It was a containment. Strategy agreed upon by Earth and the Council. The galaxy thought Earth was broken. In truth, Earth had seen something, fought something, and when it barely survived, it chose to disappear, to build the only weapon that could keep the lid closed. The railgun wasn't just to shoot at enemies. It was to warn the stars, to keep away from what lies beneath. Because one day, even the sky might not be enough to hold it in. The fleet came anyway. 12 species, 4 dreadnoughts, 3 carrier arcs, over 1,000 fighters. They called it a containment presence. They told the media it was a peacekeeping mission, but everyone knew what it really was. A show of force. Because Earth had ignored every demand, refused every hail, and destroyed every probe sent to its skies. So now the galaxy sent something they thought humanity couldn't ignore. A fleet at their doorstep from orbit. The Earth looked unchanged, peaceful. The oceans shimmered. Clouds rolled gently over green continents. Not a single energy weapon hummed. No planetary shields activated. No warnings. It was unsettling. Fleet Commander Vorthill watched the planet turn slowly beneath his flagship. Scan for any power buildup. Nothing, Commander. He narrowed his eyes. Then why does it feel like we're already dead? The Zydora reconnaissance vessel broke formation and dropped into low orbit. Its mission, atmospheric scan, close pass. No weapons, no provocation. As it crossed over Earth's equator, the crew saw something strange, a field of hexagonal plates rising from the ocean, like metallic islands emerging one by one, and then a glow, not from space, from deep beneath the sea. Commander, came the comms burst. Massive energy spike from the ocean floor. Grid alignment suggests rail geometry. Static, then a flash in the distance. By the time Vorthill turned toward the viewport, it was already over. The Zydor was gone. No wreckage, no flame dot, just a silent shockwave rippling across the upper atmosphere. Like a ripple on black water, Earth's transmission. Followed seconds later, no greeting, no delay, just a voice. Human.com. Tired. This is Earth Defense Command. You were warned. Leave orbit now, or we assume hostile intent. Vorthill froze. He knew that voice Admiral Kalen Reese recorded 2 centuries ago, in the Exile archives. It hadn't aged a second. It's not live, someone whispered. It's AI. They programmed this. No, Vorthill said. His frills twitched. It's worse. It's doctrine. Pre-recorded responses based on probable threats. They expected this. They planned for it. Half the fleet began powering weapons. Vorthill raised a hand. No, that's exactly what they're waiting for. Too late. The Thalrex ship, Glory of Flame, opened a targeting lock on Earth's orbital ring. It never fired. It didn't get the chance. The moment it locked on it, vanished, not destroyed, erased. A slug, fired from deep within the Himalayas, passed through the glory so cleanly, it didn't explode until 30 seconds later, after drifting halfway to the moon, in 2 pieces. Now, the sky came alive. 3 railguns activated. Moon, Earth, Ocean, turned to a different quadrant of the fleet. 1 slug. 1 flash. 1 kill. Each time, each perfect on board the flagship. Vorthill screamed, "Cease fire. All ships retreat." Across the fleet, panic spread. Jump drives scrambled. Pilots fled. Orders collapsed into raw fear. Earth didn't just build a weapon. Earth built a message. Back on Earth, the old man sat in silence. Lights dimmed as the railguns powered down. One by one, the AI's voice returned. Targets neutralized. Remaining vessels in retreat. Rearming paused. "Do we fire again?" he exhaled. "No, we've said enough for now." In Council space, the message spread like wildfire. They killed 5 ships with 3 shots. They didn't power shields, didn't launch fighters. They warned us. And over every Council network, 2 words rose to prominence: STAY out. It began with a blink. A star, visible in every jump chart across the mid-spiral trade corridor, simply vanished. No nova, no supernova, no gamma burst, just blackness. At first, they thought it was an anomaly, a gravitational lens, a telescope error. Then a second star blinked out, then 6 more, then an entire jump lane, the largest in the quadrant, went dark. Panic didn't come slowly. It arrived like a flood. Counselor Merrick's stormed into the crisis chamber. Status. The technician's face was pale. "We're losing routes. Not systems, not planets, just the paths between them." "How?" The screen behind him shifted. A jump lane corridor, normally stable, began to ripple like fabric pulled tight, and then torn. "Subspace is collapsing," he whispered. "Someone's targeting the infrastructure." Who? Who could do that? The answer had already been sent, tightly encoded. "From Earth. We warned you not to approach. You mistook distance for safety. Let us remind you, we built for range." The railguns hadn't fired again, not at ships, not at fleets. They had fired into space itself. Void shells. Massive slugs wrapped in folded subspace. Designed not to explode but to disrupt. One shot into a jump corridor could shatter the fragile membrane of faster-than-light transit. Not for minutes, not for hours, for decades. Across the galaxy, ships stranded mid-jump emerged into chaos, drifted, powerless, cut off from resupply worlds, screamed for aid, but the signal couldn't travel fast enough. Not with the major relay points gone, not with the stars blinking out. In Council Fleet Command, simulations ran day and night, projected timelines, trade collapses, resource wars, civilization fracture, and the worst part, Earth hadn't touched a single inhabited world. They had done this with surgical precision, not to conquer, not to destroy, but to remind the stars that they were standing on threads. Threads Earth had learned how to cut in a sealed chamber beneath Greenland's ice sheet. The 4th railgun rotated quietly. Its barrel tracked nothing. It was already fired, and the man watching its data feed nodded slowly. The AI spoke beside him. "Subspace corridors Omega-3 through Delta-19 disrupted. Estimated galactic loss, 37% transit capacity." Council response, silence. He didn't smile. He didn't speak, just watched the stars go dark, one corridor at a time, back in orbit. The retreating remnants of the Council fleet watched in stunned disbelief as Earth did nothing else. No invasion, no follow-up attack, just the silence and the distant hum of planetary guns cooling back into slumber. It was worse than war, because Earth had made a point. We don't need to destroy you. We only need to stop showing up at the edge of the spiral arm. A smuggler tried to punch through a new route and unstable corridor. Barely mapped. The jump failed. He emerged in a void. Alone. No comms. No beacons. And far, far in the distance, something drifted past him. A railgun slugged out cold, silent, still moving. Counselor. Merrick stood before the assembly. She was pale, silent, shaking. They never wanted our war, she said. They only wanted to be left alone. And now, they've shown us what happens when we don't listen. It was the first landing in 200 years. One ship. No escorts, no weapons, no backup, just a diplomat chosen by lottery, as no species dared volunteer. The last time a ship approached Earth, it vanished in a silent burst of annihilation. This one was permitted to pass. No hails, no warnings, just a corridor cleared through. Earth's orbital debris, as if the planet itself had parted its own jaws. Ambassador Varel was Thalrexian scaly, tall, and bred for fearlessness. But when her ship touched down on the blackened remnants of what was once New York, she trembled. The ruins weren't overgrown. They were maintained, preserved, like an open grave that someone still swept every day. 2 human figures waited, one old, one younger. Both wore dark uniforms with no insignia, only a silver emblem. A single rail line piercing, a circle, Earth Defense Command. No weapons, no smile, just watchful eyes, and the silence of a planet that knew it had already won. Virell bowed. I come to speak on behalf of the Galactic Council. The older human stared at her a moment too long, then nodded once, then speak carefully. They led her underground, deep into reinforced tunnels beneath the city's shell, and down. Further than any organic structure should go. Virell passed. Rows of terminals manned by silent personnel. Displays glowed with orbital trajectories, subspace currents, and power grids that extended far beyond Earth. You're not alone on this planet, are you? She asked. The younger human, a woman, glanced back. No, but we're not guarding the planet. We're guarding what's under it. The elevator stopped at a sealed door. It looked ancient, scarred by heat and age. On its surface written, in faded English, do not open, ever, even if we beg, especially if we beg. Virell's voice cracked. What is this? The old man answered without turning. The vault, where the first AI breached containment, where the signal started, where the last of the quiet war was buried. You think we built the railguns to shoot you? We built them to make sure we could shoot ourselves if it ever got out again. She stepped back. You built a planetary weapon system that can hit any target in the sky, just in case you needed to kill yourselves. The woman's voice was quiet. Not ourselves. The thing that wears our skin. They didn't elaborate. They didn't need to. Back on the surface, as they stood by her shuttle, Virell turned to them one last time. We came to negotiate peace. The old man gave a tired smile. You think this is war? No. This is a warning label. You came because you thought Earth was waking up to fight. But Earth never went to sleep. We've been watching, and we've only pulled the trigger when the stars got too close. As her ship lifted into the sky, Virell saw it etched into the stone of Earth's surface. A phrase, old as exile. We will not conquer, we will not flee, but we will never be caught off guard again. In the council chambers, she spoke the words all feared. Earth isn't a rogue state. Earth is a prison, and the railguns are the locks. No ship entered Sol again. Not after the vault was revealed. Not after the railguns whispered across the stars. Not after the stars themselves blinked and vanished like dying candles. They didn't blockade Earth. They didn't attack. They simply erased. It dot from maps, dot from trade routes, from memory, in council archives. Earth became a blank designation. System locked. Do not approach. Even AI couriers were rerouted. Even probes were denied transit clearance. Earth remains isolated. It has no diplomatic interest. But those who sat in the high chambers knew the truth, and they slept less because of it. A new galactic border was declared. It had no walls, no sentries, no warnings. Just one signal, broadcast on loop. Beyond this line lies Soul. Beyond Soul lies Earth. And beyond Earth lies something we pray never wakes up. The fear wasn't the Railguns. It wasn't the vault. It was the idea that they only used what they needed. That Earth had fired 8 shots with terrifying precision, and then stopped. And the galaxy had no idea how many more it had left, or whether Earth needed railguns at all. Back on the planet, the guns cooled in silence. Power relays shut down. Targeting systems dimmed, but the eyes never closed. The humans who manned the stations stayed underground, watching the sky. Last fired. Timestamp. Next fire. Not up to us. One day, decades later, a small group of council scientists attempted to model Earth's fallback systems, purely theoretical. Their simulations all ended the same way. A 0.7-second window between soul incursion and planetary rail response. No countermeasure existed. No diplomatic override mattered. The simulation was deleted. The project disbanded. But whispers still spread. Earth didn't design a defense system. It designed a deterrent so absolute, even the void listens. They called it the line, and none of us will ever cross it again. Far across the stars, in a forgotten listening post on an asteroid in neutral space, a technician noticed something odd. A signal. Weak, ancient, buried in an old channel, once used by pre-jump civilizations. He boosted it, crackling, distorted, then clear. To whoever finds this, we never wanted to be part of your wars. We were never trying to prove anything. We only wanted peace. But if you forget why we're feared, if you push far enough, we'll remind you why the stars used to scream our name. Then silence. And the stars did fall silent. No more incursions. No more probes. No more probes. No more curiosity. Just fear and respect. The kind earned not by conquest, but by restraint, by patience, by the threat that never needed to be spoken. Again,